Hey guys, it's Brian from Spreadsheet Sports, and I'm here to do a walkthrough of our NBA projection tool and cover some of the features that we've added for multiple lineups and uploading your lineups directly to FanDuel and DraftKings. So this is the NBA projection tool that you see here. This is the first tab with all of your projections. The first thing that you want to do when you open this tool is to go to the Today's Game Refresh tab. Click on this big refresh data button right here to get everything, to get all the games loaded for the day, and then the player pool for the players and salaries for that night to get everything updated. So that's the first step. And then you'll notice up here you have all of these different settings that you can change for your projection. So the goal of this tool is to give you flexibility to create projections the way that you'd like to, and then build lineups off of those projections. So this first box here, this base projection, is to set up the baseline average that a player would use. So you could use their average fantasy points over the last 3 games, you could use their ceiling from the last 10 games, or you can use any combination of the different values in here. So you can put different weights in here. The requirement is that they add up to 1. So you can use last 15 season, you can use their preseason projection as part of the how that factors in right there. And then you can also use this best average, which is different in the sense that it finds the best possible baseline for each individual player. So if you're just using one of the last 10, last 5, any of those time periods, that's going to provide a blanket projection across all players. So for all players, it would use the last 10 games. But the best average is going to go back over the past month, look at each player, and figure out which baseline projection would have given the best, the most accurate projections, the least amount of error over that time for each individual player. Over here is the filters. You can filter out certain players. If you want only players that average at least X number of fantasy points, if you only want to use starters in your lineups, if you want to say that a player has to have played in the last 7 days for them to be considered in your lineups, you can go through and do some filtering here to get the types of players that you want. And then this box over here is the adjustments. So there's a lot of information here. I think that the user guide is probably the best place to find the technical detail behind all of this. But there's some Vegas adjustments as far as for how the Vegas line looks compared to normal for a given team on that particular day. There's some adjustments for rest and usage rate. The opponent position is a big one, so how good of a matchup does that player have against the opponent at that same position. So those are all the different kinds of adjustments that you can use for your projections. You can decide which ones you want to turn on and which ones you want to turn off. And I mentioned the user guide. I did want to point that out. That's an important tool that we have. So this Excel Troubleshooting guide tab takes you to the user guide if you click on this link right here. So that's something, if you run into any issues within Excel, if you get an error message, that's pretty useful. We've covered a lot of the common error messages in here. So you'll see the projection tool guide that goes through all of those different features and exactly what they mean in a technical sense. And then right here up at the top is the Excel troubleshooting guide, so going through any error messages in Excel. So it teaches you how to install the solver plugin and goes through different versions of Excel and how those might be slightly different if there's any extra steps that you need to take. So now you have your settings ready, and you can go ahead and find your optimal lineup. So there's this FanDuel Optimal Lineup tab. You can hit the Find Optimal Lineup. It usually takes about 5 to 10 seconds, and it will give you the best possible lineup with your settings. If anything looks off or there's any problems, I did want to point out this Player Adjustments tab. So here's where you can do minutes adjustments for players that might be in a different situation than normal on a given night. You can do hunch adjustments, so you can just manually adjust certain players up or down with their projection based on any outside research or just a hunch that you have. And then you can also guarantee players in a lineup and exclude players from a lineup. So a lot of times, I'll just do a default lineup with the settings that I like, and then if there's anyone in it that I definitely don't want this person, or I want to make sure this person is in the next time I run it, I'll go in here and I'll make some changes, and then I'll run it again. So that's typically how that can be used. I also wanted to point out on the projections tab, there's these two dashboards that you can take a look at. So the player research dashboard is going to let you dive deep into historical stats on a given player. So you're going to click that button here. It's going to take you to a web page, and on this web page you can see exactly how a given player has performed over their last 10 games, how their fantasy points look, how they relate to their average, what it looks like on that given day for their all these different adjustments. The Vegas totals look like they're down for Cousins. He's played Washington one time in the past, and he scored 67 fantasy points, so that could be something good to look at. And this is the defense in the last 2 weeks as far as how Washington has given up points to opposing centers. So this is a pretty deep dive into some of the stats behind all of the projections. And then I wanted to click on one more over here, the best plays and points by value. So this is going to give you kind of a ranked list of all of the players at each position. So you can kind of see who's the best value, who is projected to score the highest, how they've performed relative to their projections in the past. So this is showing Murray Spates up here at the top. This is assuming that he is the starting power forward if Blake Griffin were out. And then you can click around here to the different positions and kind of see how they stack up. So Chris Paul has the highest projection. Somebody like Kemba Walker might have a little bit more value in terms of their salary, though. So that's kind of how this one looks. And let me go back to the spreadsheet. So here's your optimal lineup. Obviously you can take that and put that into FanDuel or DraftKings yourself. But then I wanted to get into the multiple lineup features. So we have two tools for that. We have the multi-lineup optimizer and the lineup generator. So the difference is that the multi-lineup optimizer works exactly like the projection tool. It takes all of your settings and finds the best possible lineup, but then goes the second step to find the next best lineup and the next best lineup, and however many you choose. So you would click this button here to send your data once it's all refreshed to the multi-lineup optimizer. And then the lineup generator is a bit different. It forces you to kind of select a pool of players at each position, so 4 or 5 players at each position that you're thinking about considering for your lineups. And once you identify those players, it's going to generate all potential lineup combinations with those players in it and then rank them for you. So you can kind of see the best lineups with the guys that you're most interested in. So it kind of just depends how you go about building your lineups, which tool might be right for you. So I'm gonna hit this send to multi-lineup optimizer button. I've actually already done that. And it's important to have your NBA multi-lineup optimizer file open in Excel when you click that button. You can download the multi-lineup optimizer and the lineup generator from that same page that you had the projection tool on our site. So here is where you can, I just clicked something in there. So in here you can request the number of lineups. So right now I'm just looking at 5. I can change that to 10 or 20. And then over here I can exclude players. I can put an X in this column. I can lock players by putting an L, and then I can do a percentage exposure. So if I don't want Chris Paul to appear in more than 50% of my lineups, I can put a 0.5 here, and that's going to restrict him to no more than 50% of the lineups that I request. So those are some of the features in here that you can also lock players into a given position. So just type in their name in here and they'll be locked into that given position. And then the FanDuel Slate ID. So this is important when it comes to directly uploading your lineups to FanDuel. So I'm going to show you how to kind of get that. I'm going to click over here to the FanDuel site. And I'm going to find a contest that I want to play in. So I want to find an NBA contest for today. And here's the contest I want to enter. So if you scroll down here at the bottom of the Your Lineup section, you can click this Upload Lineups from CSV, and then you're going to hit this Download a CSV Template option. And that's going to look like this file right here. You'll see going down this column, you'll see the same number repeated over and over again, and then followed by an individual ID for a given player. So this number right here, this 17268, that's what you want to put into your Slate ID. So that's important to have that in there only if you want to directly upload your lineups to FanDuel. So I'm going to go ahead and close the projection tool. I don't need that open anymore. And I'm going to open my FanDuel upload template. That's an important file to have open. Okay, so now I want to find my 5 lineups, so I'm going to hit this Find Optimal Lineups button. You'll see here at the bottom Excel is kind of running through things, and there it goes. So now it's found the 5 best lineups with my settings. And again, you can go back and make changes, but if you're happy with this particular set of lineups, you can go over here to the Generate FanDuel CSV tab. You can click this button to download the CSV template. That's what I just opened on my machine, but that's where you'll click on that and you'll open it. It's also important to have the file names exactly the same as what they're uploaded on our site. So you'll see this file is named NBA Multi-Lineup Optimizer, and you'll see that this is called the FanDuel NBA Upload Template. If you start to change those names, if you name them yourself, or you have an extra character or two at the end of those file names, you're going to start to get errors in Excel. So it's looking for those specific names when it runs through and automatically pulls data from one sheet to the next. So that's important to have that named exactly the same. So now I'm ready to generate my CSV. So I'm going to click here on Generate CSV, and you'll see everything update in my upload template. So now I have that Slate ID, the 17268, and then all of my player IDs are in here. And now I can go ahead and save this as just any kind of file on your machine. So I'm just calling it FanDuel Lineup Upload and saving it to my desktop. And there we go. Yes, I want to keep using that format. Now I can close this out, and I can go back to FanDuel, and I can say, now that I have my file ready to upload, I can choose my file. So here it is right here on my desktop, the FanDuel Lineup Upload, and then I can click Upload. And it says, there we go, 5 lineups detected. I can go ahead and enter them right into that contest. I'm not going to enter them right now, but that's how you would do it. So I'm going to go ahead and close the multi-lineup optimizer, and I'm going to also show you the lineup generator. So I'll do a DraftKings version for that. So let me open my lineup generator, and this is a bigger file, so it's going to take a second to upload. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and go over here to DraftKings. There's one slight difference with DraftKings as far as how you will load your lineups. So over here in the lineups tab of the DraftKings site, you can click on the upload lineups button, and then you're going to pick your slate that you're looking to upload lineups for, and you'll download. So this is the main slate for NBA for today, and I'll click download, and then you're going to get a file that looks like this. So my generator's open, and then that file needs to go into the projection tool. I'll show you that here real quick. So this would be important to do before you send your lineups to the multi-lineup optimizer or the lineup generator for DraftKings. So over here in the projection tool is a DraftKings lineup CSV. So you'll see it kind of looks just like that. So I would take my DK salaries file, copy, and paste it right into here. So that's how that would work. Go ahead and close this for now. And so here's the lineup generator. So on the lineup generator, like I said, it forces you to select 4 players at each position that you're potentially considering for your lineup. So I have 4 centers all the way down through my guards and forwards and utility players. So you have to explicitly list those players in that you're considering. So if that's not the way you build your lineup, then this may not be that helpful of a tool for you. But you'll be able to see how many unique lineups that it can generate with 4 players at each of these positions. So it's 65,000. And with the players that I've put in here right now, 11,000 of those lineups could potentially be under the cap. So I've already gone through and selected the guys that I want, but that's what you would kind of do is you would open this file. I'm going to go ahead and hit generate lineups. And again, this is going to kind of run through for a second, and it's going to create all of those lineup combinations, and then it's going to filter out the ones that are over the cap and list the ones in order of highest projected points. So you'll see that appear here in a second. So it's running through right now, it's doing its filtering. Again, this probably takes 20 to 30 seconds before it finishes everything. So here's my list. So you'll see, this created 11,000 lineups for me, and it took about 30 seconds right there. So now you have all your lineups. If you're ready to start to load some of these, bulk load into DraftKings, you can go ahead and go to the Generate CSV. Again, you'll need to have you'll download this DraftKings CSV template. So I'm going to open that here that I already have downloaded. And then I'll hit this Generate CSV button. So this one's taking a second to load all of the player IDs. And then get them sorted into the correct order for upload directly to the DraftKings site. Give it another couple seconds to run here. And you'll see when it's running and when it's done by what it's showing it's calculating in here. Okay, so it looks like it's done. It's ready for upload. I am going to, really not interested in loading the max for DraftKings is 500 lineups to upload at once. I'm not actually interested in uploading 500 lineups right now, so I'm going to go ahead and clear these, delete these from the file. So I'll have these 5 lineups right here. And again, I can save this as a file anywhere on my desktop. I'm going to call it just this DraftKings upload right here. Save it. And yes, I want to keep it in that format. So then over here on DraftKings, on this upload lineup section, I can click upload CSV, and I want to do the DraftKings upload file that I just created. Oh, and it looks like there was an error in one of the players that I listed. I think I listed Jokic as a power forward when he's really a center. So I would need to go back here and change this because he's not listed as a forward in here. But other than that, if you have all of these set up correctly, it should load your lineups. It recognized all of the other players. It gave me a pretty clear error message there. So once you get that 100% set, you'd be able to upload your CSV, and then you'll have your lineups right here available to you on DraftKings. So you'll see some of the lineups that I had uploaded earlier. So that is the NBA projection tool. So the 3 components: the projection tool, the multi-lineup optimizer, and the lineup generator. So everything starts with that projection tool. Make sure you get that refreshed, and good luck building your lineups. Thanks.